today's video, we're going to be going over who I think is in prime position to be the breakout superstar in the WWE in 2025. I'm going to be showing you my options, and they include men, women, tag teams, and even factions, and I'll try to explain to you why I think they're poised to have a huge 2025. I wouldn't be surprised if there's obvious choices that I miss, so this is your chance in the comments section to roast me about it. But be nice, okay? Be nice. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm really confident that you're going to fall in love with his YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And don't forget, if you want more than just daily wrestling content, come over to the Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZap. We upload so much more extra content that just never gets uploaded to YouTube. Come give it a chance. That's it. Let's get started with the video. Let's start things off by talking about maybe the most obvious guy on this list, which is why I put him in the thumbnail. And he's probably sitting at the top of most people's list as the top candidate to be the breakout superstar of the year in 2025. That being, Jacob Fatu. Listen, I don't think I'm overreaching here when I say that Jacob Fatu clearly has the highest ceiling out of anybody on the main roster right now. He's got the ceiling of like the Empire State Building. I don't think that I'm out of line in saying that this is a guy that could very well be main eventing WrestleMania shortly down the line. This is the type of potential that I see in somebody like Jacob Fatu. We're at the point where we're already fantasy booking WrestleMania main events with whoever he has a stare down with. For the love of Christ, if he had a stare down with Steve from Blue's Clues, people would already be thinking that this is main eventing the first two-night SummerSlam ever. And that just goes to show the level of expectations and the desire and the demand for somebody like Jacob Fatu from the fans. And clearly WWE sees that, because otherwise they wouldn't be teasing us with these constant Jacob Fatu face-offs with the likes of Braun Strowman and Braun Breaker. And with the Bloodline storyline incorporating more characters, maybe borderline turning into the NWO of the modern era where there's different offshoots of the Bloodline, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a Bloodline that was led by Jacob Fatu as early as 2025. Listen, I know we're all waiting for that moment where instead of him saying "I love you," he says "I hate you." That's gonna hit hard. What's interesting about Jacob Fatu specifically is that he is one of those guys, because of the position that he's in and the family that he's a part of and the faction that he's a part of, that he can have a breakout year without even winning any titles. He can make major strides in the main event without winning any of those singles accolades that are usually the big barometer of having a breakout year. Don't get me wrong, I could still very well see him winning the King of the Ring. I could see him winning a singles title, Money in the Bank. I could see him winning all of those, but I do believe that the major cause of him having a breakout year is that he's going to be a major needle mover in the main event scene in 2025. So that is why I have him at the very top of this list. I believe that many of WWE's major storylines could go through Jacob Fatu at some point this year. Look, if Solo Sikoa could have the year that he had, think about what they could do with Jacob Fatu, who frankly is better than Solo Sikoa at everything, whether it's promos or matches or just overall in-ring persona and charisma. This guy's just better overall. If they were to put the machine behind Jacob Fatu, imagine what they could do. Looking a little bit further down the totem pole, let's look at Angel and Berto, because I think that they are primed to have a major year in the tag team division of SmackDown. Funny enough, we're already kind of seeing those major strides as we're finally seeing these guys actually have their own character, their own dialogue, and actually getting matches and wins. The big driver of this is just that extra third hour of SmackDown, because one of the things that would always happen in 2-hour SmackDowns is that certain divisions would get left out for weeks at a time. And the tag team division, for numerous times throughout 2024, was one of those divisions that constantly just sort of got pushed aside. And even when they did get time, it was only just to have matches. They never really got character development and storylines within the tag team division, but that's already changing. And we're already seeing different various tag team stock rise because of this. Most namely right now, Berto and Angel. I've always been a huge fan of these two guys since I saw them as an actual tag team in NXT. I was never a fan of them as single stars during the pandemic era, but that's a different story. I really like their work as a tag team in NXT, and it really saddened me that they weren't getting the opportunity to shine the way that they were shining in NXT on the main roster. But now they're getting that opportunity, and people that have only watched them on the main roster are slowly starting to recognize that these guys can can fucking ball, bro. I don't think that they're going to be main eventing WrestleManias anytime soon, but when it comes to major success for guys like these, I see them winning tag team gold and being part of major tag team storylines, and I would not be surprised if we see them having a tag team match at WrestleMania this year with how much they're developing the tag team division. I feel like at this point, I don't just have to talk about Berto and Angel. I could probably just talk about the entirety of the tag team division. 2025 should be a much better year for tag team wrestling in general. Kind of sticking with the tag teams, but also not. Let's talk about Austin Theory, because we might finally get the elusive Austin Theory babyface turn that we've been waiting for a really long time. I always point to this when I hear people say, just let Papa H cook. Really? How long has this been cooking? This thing is dried up and burning your house down with how long it's been in the oven in Triple H's restaurant. But there's something here. I don't know exactly what it is, but just seeing the desire from myself and fans to see what a babyface Austin Theory looks like tells me that there could be something there. And that something could be a lot of fan support that gets generated from maybe a new, fresh character and a new, fresh take on Austin Theory on the main roster. I don't know that babyface Austin Theory would be good. I just think that it would. That's all I really have to go off on. But just the fact that fans have been waiting so damn long for this babyface turn tells me that when it happens, there's going to be an immediate eruption from fans for more Austin Theory, and I do believe that that is going to be the case. This is a guy that's still really young. He's still in his early portions of his career. This is a guy that they had him peak way too early. Now we have the opportunity to have him have his proper, more organic and natural rise to maybe the upper mid card or maybe the main event scene. I feel like that's too early for 2025, but the ascension towards that could begin in 2025. Carmelo Hayes, I think, is primed for a big 2025, a year where we could see him winning major singles accolades. 2024 was the year where it was just WWE telling us, see, he's pretty good, right? He can go. All those matches with Andrade, not bad, right? That's what it felt like. It felt like a dress rehearsal for Carmelo Hayes. In 2025, to me, seems like it's going to be the full-on production of Carmelo Hayes the musical. It's probably going to be released before the goddamn Pretty Deadly musical. Not only do we know now, and I knew, and many of you that watched this video knew that he was great in ring in NXT, but the more casual, wider base that only watches the main roster, now they know that this man is fantastic in the ring, and they've slowly been drip feeding his character to us, and it's a character that I think is resonating with a lot of people. Now we know who he is and what he can deliver. You put that together, and I feel like now you can let him run in 2025 with a Mellow in the Bank victory, or maybe even a King of the Ring. I could see either one of those two for Carmelo Hayes' future in 2025. This could be a huge year for him. Additionally, when I look at the landscape of who can be a brand new main eventer, there actually aren't that many. Carmelo Hayes is one of those people that I feel like you can insert into the main event scene if done properly in 2025. He could be one of those fresh faces vying for world titles by the time that 2026 rolls around. Jade Cargill. You might be confused. How are you having Jade Cargill on here? She already had a great breakout year in 2024. Listen, I feel like there is still so much more to achieve with Jade Cargill. We had a year of Jade Cargill where we were just sort of test driving what Jade Cargill was all about by putting her in the tag team division, kind of allowing her to develop more and more in front of the eyes of fans. But I'm going to be honest with you, when I look at what they're going to do with Jade Cargill and what I predict they're going to do, I'm literally thinking multi-time world championships, winning everything under the sun, Royal Rumble victories, Queen of the Ring. I do believe that the WWE sees major main event, mega headliner potential in Jade Cargill. And now, one of the things that was missing for Jade Cargill in 2024 was like a meaty storyline, something that isn't just, I'm here to kick your ass. We have something with her being attacked at the end of the year in 2024, her having been on hiatus for a while, and she's going to come back with a vengeance for whoever took her out. That should be Jade Cargill's first like really big major storyline. And if she can knock it out of the park with storytelling and matches, I think that we're in for a huge back end of 2024 2025 with Jade Cargill. I feel like I've had this dude on the list for like the past 3 years that I've made these videos. Jey Uso. Listen, last year he took the leap into finally winning singles gold, but I do think that this could be the year that we see main event Jey Uso actually just being the main event, being a world champion in 2025. Just kind of look at the contextual clues that we've gotten over the last couple of months. Everyone's entrance at Survivor Series War Games coming before Jey Uso's. Roman and Punk coming out before Jey Uso is crazy. The fact that Drew McIntyre is on this streak of taking out everyone from the bloodline, and the first person that he loses to is Jey Uso. Jey Uso is being heavily protected in this early portion of 2024, and I do think it's because there's big things for him in 2025. And to me, the big thing left for him is a world championship. This is one of my Hail Mary predictions for the year. Jey Uso will be a world heavyweight champion before 2026 comes around. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God. Oh. This got
That, folks, was a sneak peek of this week's Wrestling is Cool Match Club offerings available exclusively on patreon.com/SantiZap. This week, we're looking at Jacob Fatu versus Mads Kruger in MLW in a Weapons of Mass Destruction match. The legendary TLC match for the World Tag Team titles at WrestleMania 17. People have been waiting for a long time for that one. The absolute classic that is Io Sky versus Bayley at WrestleMania 40. The Damian Priest versus The Miz zombie match from Backlash 2001. Spoiler, The Miz gets eaten alive. And we're also looking at the classic that is Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay at AEW Forbidden Door 2023. You're going to be getting all of this plus the Raw reviews, the SmackDown reviews, the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days early, the currently ongoing Undertaker WrestleMania watch along, and the currently ongoing Royal Rumble watch along. That is so much more extra content that never gets uploaded here to YouTube because we just simply can't. So go check it out. Patreon.com/SantiZap. There's a link in the description or a link in the pinned comment. Come try it out even for just 1 month. I'm confident that you're going to fall in love with the community and with the content. If you're already a patron, thank you so much for your support, but let's get back to the video. Lyra Valkyria. I feel like we need somebody to be a major representative of the women's mid-card development, and I don't think that it gets better than Lyra Valkyria. There were a few people I could go with, like Dakota Kai, for example, Chelsea Green, Michin, but Chelsea Green and Michin have already broken out. They already had their breakout year. But Lyra Valkyria hasn't had the opportunity to break out because ever since she got called up to the main roster in last year's NXT call-ups, she hasn't really been let loose. They've let her loose on occasion, like having a great run in the Queen of the Ring tournament and then putting her on ice for like 4 months. And then having this fantastic run in the Intercontinental Championship tournament. We'll see what happens after that. If she wins the Women's Intercontinental Championship, which is about to potentially happen here within the next couple of days, then we are in for probably a strong start and a strong year for Lyra Valkyria in general. But even if she does lose, I feel like she's going to be positioned to be a cornerstone of the women's mid-card, which I do think in turn will set her up for having kind of that natural transition into the main event scene, maybe before even 2026 rolls around. It was almost as if they just had nothing for Lyra Valkyria in 2024, but now that the hours of wrestling have expanded both on Raw and on SmackDown, now that the divisions have grown, now having a women's mid-card, not 1 but 2 on the main roster, there is absolutely stuff for Lyra Valkyria to do year-round. There is no reason to put her on ice at all in 2025, and if you don't put her on ice like you did in 2024, I think that we're in for a major year for Lyra Valkyria. This one's a stretch, but I'm just sort of looking at the writing on the wall of Triple H's style of booking. So I have the faction American made. Listen, one of the things that we've noticed from Triple H booking over the last several years is that this man loves his heel factions. That's why Judgment Day ran Monday Night Raw for so damn long. But one of the things that I'm noticing is that Judgment Day is starting to get sunset. They've changed their entrance theme. They're all starting to splinter. They're fighting amongst one another. I wouldn't be surprised if by WrestleMania, Judgment Day just isn't a thing anymore. And when I look at the factions on Monday Night Raw before on SmackDown. Again, things can just sort of change with this trade portal. I could see Triple H sort of putting the machine behind a Chad Gable and American Made and making them be one of those factions that runs Monday Night Raw or maybe Friday Night SmackDown and is that faction that gets like the 4, 5, 6 different segments a night, which was before given to the Judgment Day. But if the Judgment Day isn't around, maybe you need to fill that with a different heel faction. And I do think that American Made could be in prime position to take all of those extra slots that were given to the Judgment Day. I'm just not going to put just Chad Gable on this list because I've been burned time and time and time again. So instead of just trying to rely on Chad Gable alone, I'm just going to say American Made in general. It's kind of stupid to put the New Day on this list considering they are a legendary tag team. They are a first ballot Hall of Famer, but yet this feels different. This doesn't feel like the New Day that's earned all of those accolades. This feels like a rebirth. This feels like it's not just the New Day. This feels like it's Kofi and Xavier. This is a totally different entity that just so happens right now to have the same name. But I do feel like we're in for a big year, a big renaissance for both Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. As we're seeing with SmackDown, the tag team division is expanding. By default, that's going to happen on Monday Night Raw as well, now that we're getting that third hour back. And we saw WWE start to put a little bit more tender love and care into the Raw tag team division there towards the end of the year with the heel turn of the New Day by taking the titles off of the Judgment Day and putting them onto the War Raiders. The wheel has already started to move. The snowball is slowly coming down the mountain, and I do feel that by the end of the year, these guys will be the biggest heels in all of tag team wrestling. You can make the argument that they already are, but not only will they be the biggest heels, I feel like they're going to win everything and anything related to tag team wrestling in 2025, thus creating a new narrative that it's not just about the New Day with Big E, it is about the New Day in 2025 with Kofi and Xavier. Ludwig Kaiser, here's like another really obvious one. This guy is clearly being set up to have a fantastic year, and this would be a major leap forward for him compared to the 2024 and 2023 years that he's had previously. This is the first year that Ludwig Kaiser is going into without being a secondary member of a faction, without being in the shadow of a bigger star. He has moved on from Gunther and Imperium and is now trying to carve a path for himself. And many people clearly already saw the major potential that this man has as a top heel in the WWE. To me, this is a perfect Bond villain. This guy is just so good with all of his mannerisms, his promos, and he crushes it in the ring. And now that he's going to be able to showcase that just as himself, not as a member of Imperium or as somebody helping Gunther, if he's starting the year for Ludwig Kaiser and ending it for Ludwig Kaiser, I feel like we could see major strides for how this guy is booked in this year. Frankly, like I could absolutely see him getting an Intercontinental Championship. Would not be surprised if that's the case. And maybe even get a World Championship match here or there. Not one that he would win, but I wouldn't be surprised if to elevate another champion that they put Ludwig Kaiser in front of them. This is another one of those like really obvious options, just kind of like looking at the landscape of the roster right now. Ludwig Kaiser, the way that the year is starting, he is just in a prime position to have the best year of his career, bar none. All right, folks, this is your opportunity to let me know down in the comments what you feel I got wrong or maybe who I missed. You guys let me know, but that's it. I'm done. Be civil though. Get out of here.